How's it going, everyone? Today I'll be taking a deep dive into the card Ready for a Fight. This is an extremely impactful protection card that came out fairly recently in the Silk Hero Pack, and I thought it deserved a video of me talking about it in depth. It's a card I've described before as a paradigm-shifting card for protection. I think it's really influential, impacts a lot of different decks, playable by basically every hero, exploited by a few, and so I really just wanted to spend a video diving into it and trying to share some of the ways I've been using it that I think are successful, some ways you might reflect on the card and look for places to use it in your own decks. This video is going to have essentially two parts. I'm going to start by talking about the card itself, sort of the theory behind how we want to use the card for the first half of the video. And then for the second half of the video, I'm going to do a lightning speed tier list ranking all heroes in the game for how useful Ready for a Fight is with that hero. So let's get into it with Ready for a Fight. So this is a 1-cost protection upgrade. It is a preparation. It does have a requirement of a physical resource, max 1 per player. As an interrupt, when an enemy would scheme, discard Ready for a Fight, change to hero form. That enemy attacks you instead. So here's what we've got. The first reason this card is really impactful is because it allows you to change the villain's scheme to an attack. So the most obvious place where this is going to be to your benefit is when the villain draws an advance. The main scheme seems really close to popping, so we want to change that scheme to an attack instead so that we don't lose the game to that extra scheme. Now, the attack is still something we need to survive, but we generally have more ways to do that between defending, blocking with allies. We've got more options that we can put in our decks to allow ourselves to accept an extra attack, whereas that extra scheme might just end the game on the spot if the villain is not confused. So in terms of just strictly saving protection decks from an advance that would otherwise end the game, I already think Ready for a Fight is a card that's worth, one copy of in basically every protection deck. The fact that it's an upgrade, it just stays in play forever. We might never use it, but that's, what I like to call a good problem to have because it means that we never drew an advance. And then whenever we do draw an advance, it's immediately there, ready to be used to save us the game. So some small percentage of games, right, Ready for a Fight is just going to prevent us from losing that game due to that advance. The other half of this is that there might be cases where our hero or our deck is just so inefficient at thwarting that we're happy to spend the 2 resources, the 2 ER to play Ready for a Fight in order to change a scheme to an attack. Now, this is a bit tenuous. I mean, even as inefficient as our thwarting might be, we still have to take this attack, and we're paying 2 resources to play Ready for a Fight. So maybe it's a small part of the card, but there's some heroes when we talk through the tier list, like maybe a Hulk who's got 0 thwart, a really inefficient thwart event. Colossus is in the same kind of boat. They might get a little bit of value just from, they just prefer an attack so much to a scheme because of how they're able to defend for themselves or either heal back up for themselves. So there can be some small use there as well. The second part of Ready for a Fight, which really took me a while to appreciate, but really I think it's actually the most meaningful part of the card, is how it lets you manipulate your forms such that you can get your alter ego actions in any given turn, whatever value you might be getting from there, the ability to recover, the hand size, which is basically always bigger than the hero hand size. But if your deck also wants to spend the villain phase in hero form, then Ready for a Fight lets you get back to hero form by at least the majority of the villain phase, right? Step 1, threat goes on the main scheme. Step 2, the villain is about to scheme against us. Ready for a Fight flips us to hero form, so now the villain attacks us, and then we're in hero form for the duration of the villain phase and whatever encounter cards may come our way. So, a few things here. There's really a lot here. So, I think the real key for heroes or decks that want this effect are the decks that really want to spend the villain phase in hero form. So the most obvious are the defend heavy decks. Protection, of course, known for defending. If we're in a multiplayer game, decks can be built to defend for the entire table. Even in a solo game, that's a strategy we can do sometimes. Yeah, so inevitably in these strategies, even though we want to be in hero form every time, we're defending attacks, like we're still going to take damage throughout the game. There's always some turn where we need to flip down to alter ego and recover. But now we flip down to alter ego, we draw up our hand full of defense events and hero interrupts and hero responses, and those are just stranded in our hand because we entered the villain phase in alter ego form, and now our subsequent turn is going to be very lackluster. So we'd be quite happy to pay this 2 resource cost for Ready for a Fight so that we can significantly raise our floor of getting back to hero form, allowing us to use these hero interrupts and hero defenses that we've put in our deck. Now, so those are the kinds of decks that really want to be in hero form during the villain phase. There's tons of hero abilities and such that want us to be in hero form as well during the villain phase. But you could easily say just stay in hero form every turn. So obviously that is something you can do. So really, for Ready for a Fight to be best utilized by a hero, we need the combination of someone who wants to spend the villain phase in hero form, but also has alter ego abilities that they really want to use. So of course I mentioned the hand size is generally going to be bigger on its own, but maybe we have some value generating ability on the alter ego side. Maybe we have a really high value support that has an alter ego action that we want to be able to use. Maybe we've got some other upgrades and supports in our deck that we want to play, but they require us to be in alter ego form to use them. So Ready for a Fight really gives us the best of both worlds over any given turn cycle, where we can start the turn in hero form, flip to alter ego, take advantage of our alter ego actions to get value and do stuff, but then go back to hero form by the time the villain phase comes around in order to play all our cards out there. Another nuance to this is, look, there's going to be some heroes that just want to spend every turn in every villain phase in hero form. But there's some heroes who maybe they have like 1 or 2 really strong like defense events. So we'll talk about all these heroes specifically in the tier list, but someone like a Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel is not really known as a defender, but she's got the card Wiggle Room, which is really, really quite strong. So even just playing like 1 copy of Ready for a Fight, we sort of don't plan to use it like immediately or like every single time or like right away every single time. But when we go to alter ego form, at the end of the player phase, we're still in alter ego form. We draw up to our alter ego form hand size. Say we see, okay, we've got Wiggle Room in our hand. Now I'm going to trigger Ready for a Fight to get me to hero form so that I can use that Wiggle Room when the villain attacks me. That's just sort of a nice little trick for us to have in order to do that. One other thing to keep in mind as we talk about changing these forms is that the average hero has a 6-card hand size in alter ego and a 5-card hand size in hero form. So if our plan was to stay in hero form, every turn anyways, then the turn that we go to alter ego form, we have 1 extra card in hand when we draw up to our hand size before we flip back to hero form. So really that kind of rebates the cost of 1 for Ready for a Fight. So it makes Ready for a Fight go from 2 ER to effectively costing 1 ER. So as long as we're getting 1 ER or 1 ER of value or more from this flip, then we're breaking even on playing Ready for a Fight. Now, in many cases, a truer comparison is kind of a flip every turn, right? If we're staying in hero form every turn, then Ready for a Fight allows us to get our alter ego hand size instead, so that's like a rebate of 1 resource. But if we're a hero who would otherwise just plan to flip every turn, we're getting 5, then 6, then 5, then 6, then 5, then 6. The value of the extra hand size is reduced slightly just because there were several turns in that program where we were going to get the alter ego hand size anyways. So if we're looking at a hero that wants to spend every turn in every villain phase in hero form, then getting the hand size buff on Ready for a Fight is like a rebate of 1. If it's someone who would be flipping back and forth most turns anyways, then the rebate is kind of just like a half, because some number of the time we will have been just expecting to start the turn in alter ego form, and so we could have just kind of stayed there and gotten that hand size anyways. So keep that a little bit in mind if you want to really crunch the numbers on whether or not it's worth it to use Ready for a Fight on any given turn. All right, the last little thing before we get into the tier list is just a couple special bonuses. Not a huge part of the card, but any hero who has an ability that triggers when you flip into hero form usually. I guess there's some that might give a little bit of value when you flip to alter ego form, but especially when you flip to hero form, Ready for a Fight helps you speed up how many times you're able to trigger that ability throughout the game. Usually, if we're just flipping once every turn, then we're triggering that hero form response every other turn. Every time we play Ready for a Fight, it gives us 2 flips over the same turn cycle. So essentially getting that ability twice as fast. And we can only play 3 copies, so we're probably not literally doing it every turn, but right, say we got the Ready for a Fight effect every turn, we would be flipping twice as fast and get that hero response, that flip ability twice as often. So that is a pretty nice bonus for those heroes. Ready for a Fight is also a preparation, so only a couple heroes in the game that really care about that, but kind of a noteworthy thing. Or maybe you're playing a multi-aspect character. You might play Agent Coulson and Ready for a Fight. I guess I should mention, I said we can only play 3 copies in the deck, but we can play Practiced Plan as well, up to 3 copies. So we could essentially give ourselves 6 effective copies of Ready for a Fight in our deck. Might be a little bit overkill, might be a little bit redundant, but there's some heroes who it's really, really strong for, so I'm not even sure that's the craziest thing to do. So anyways, just to summarize here before we get into the tier list, kind of 3 main things to look out for in our heroes. Do they care about changing a scheme to an attack? Again, I think every hero cares about this to some extent because it can save them from an advance, but if a hero is really bad at thwarting, we might just appreciate that change in the activation anyways. Secondly, the form manipulation, either having the opportunity to see that we've got our really powerful defense event in our alter ego hand and allow us to flip to hero form in order to take advantage of that defense event, or just to be able to get all that value in alter ego that our deck might have and still get back to hero form for the villain phase because we want to defend for everybody, or we've got some hero ability that triggers based off things that happen during the villain phase. Maybe we want to play some cancels that our hero has, that cancel and counter cards. So that kind of form manipulation is a really important aspect of the card as well. And then a few special bonuses. So that's my wrap up on the card Ready for a Fight. Let's get into my tier list. All right, let's see how this goes. I'm now going to rank every hero in the game on this tier list, ranking how useful the card Ready for a Fight is with these heroes. Just to explain my tiers here at the bottom, we've got nothing special. Again, as I've said numerous times already, I think every one of these heroes is probably better off playing 1 copy of Ready for a Fight in their protection decks than not, just because of how it can save you from an advance. But if they're in the nothing special tier, that just means it's not really elevating them above that base use case. They might not be a good defender or have any defense events we want to play. So they go in nothing special. Useful is now they have some good reason, some decent reason to want to be able to flip to hero form during the villain phase. Maybe they've got a good defense event or 2. Maybe they've just got 3 defense, so they're generally a character that we want to defend with sometimes. Very strong is sort of elevating that even more. Now we've got some heroes that really want to be in hero form during the villain phase, and at this point they've probably got some alter ego ability as well, so we're getting both halves of the Ready for a Fight value, where we get some alter ego abilities and also get back into hero form for the villain phase. And then at the very top we've got insanely good, so just the best of the best heroes. They probably really, really want to be in hero form during the villain phase. They've got some great alter ego stuff to do, and they've got something else on top of that. Like they've got some constant ability in hero form that makes them just really want to be in hero form during the villain phase, beyond just defending. Maybe they get some flip bonuses. Those are the kind of heroes that I'm putting in the insanely good tier. All right, so let's get into it then. I've got them here in a chronological order of release. I've also included in here Hulking and Tigra. At the time of filming this, they're not released yet, but we know what all their cards are, so I'm going to rank them on this list anyways. If you're a very anti-spoiler person, you like to experience the new cards by opening it up for yourselves, you got plenty of time to stop before we talk about Hulking and Tigra. But anyways, let's get started with Black Panther. So I'm going to start Black Panther off in the useful tier. So maybe just barely. I mean, Black Panther only has a defense stat of 2 and has no defense events, but he's got Retaliate 1. And so this makes him kind of a naturally good defender, someone you might naturally want to play a defender deck with anyways. And one card I haven't really talked about yet that is going to factor in for a few heroes is Change of Fortune. So this is a really strong resource generator for protection that wants you to defeat enemies in the villain phase, and whenever you defeat an enemy, you draw 2 cards. So someone with Retaliate like Black Panther would like the opportunity to go to hero form for the villain phase so that we can use Retaliate to maybe kill off a minion. So a little bit of usefulness there with Black Panther, and very strong alter ego action available to him with the Golden City, which is incredibly strong. So just barely into the useful tier. Captain Marvel, she'll go in the nothing special, low defense stat, no defense abilities. So a lot of these nothing special heroes I'll try to save some time with and skip. And I should have mentioned by now, right, I'm going to go through all these pretty fast, but if I've missed something, feel free to let me know about it in the comments, especially if you've been using Ready for a Fight to success with some of these heroes. Next up, we've got Iron Man. I'm also going to put Iron Man in nothing special. Not really considered a defending hero. Lots of good, maybe a good example here, just to say one more time, Iron Man's got lots and lots of good alter ego stuff. But if we want to flip to alter ego form, we can just stay there. Like Ready for a Fight, what it's really giving us is the ability to go to alter ego form and go to hero form. So we really need both of those to some degree to put this in the useful category. Next, we've got She-Hulk, and She-Hulk's an exciting one. She's going to go in the insanely good tier. So She-Hulk is one of the few characters that actually has a hand size difference of 2 between hero form and alter ego form. So Ready for a Fight already kind of rebates itself there. She has an ability when she flips to hero form, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So we get to accelerate how often we do that. The timing even works out such that we can use her alter ego ability to prevent a threat from being put on the main scheme during step 1, and then flip to hero form for the attack in step 2. So everything just works really well for She-Hulk. She's weak in thwarting. She kind of likes to take damage because she heals back damage very efficiently compared to how efficiently she can thwart, and it might help charge up her Gamma Slam for the end of the game. So She-Hulk is a character who I would play multiple copies of Ready for a Fight if we are going to play a protection deck with her. Spider-Man, also going to go in insanely good, might actually be the best hero in the game with Ready for a Fight, because we have this hero ability that we draw a card whenever the villain initiates an attack against us. So yeah, we definitely want to be in hero form for the villain phase, and we've got some of the best alter ego actions in the game with Aunt May and with the ability to generate a resource on the Peter Parker side. So Peter is insanely good, also has the backflip, also has the enhanced spider sense, really, really strong hero interrupts and responses. Moving on from the core set, we've got our Wave 1 heroes, starting with Captain America. Putting Captain America in very strong. So Captain America can easily play the defender role built around the shield, which gives him +1 defense, up to 3 defense, and retaliate. So maybe he can even do a little bit of Change of Fortune stuff, but just a good defender overall. He's got the shield block, which is a very, very efficient defense event. And also, I'm not really ranking based off of this, but the flavor win is just incredible. I mean, Ready for a Fight, sort of like I can do this all day in theme. So we'll put Captain America in very strong. Miss Marvel, I'm going to put her in useful. So I mentioned her during the card breakdown, but she's got wiggle room. which is a card that is very solid in hero form. So I kind of like it a bit there. Very strong alter ego actions as well, even though she's not too much of a defender. But once we play that wiggle room, we could bounce it back. Maybe we get to play it again. So I just put her in useful. Thor, I'm going to put in useful. So this might surprise you a little bit because Thor really, really wants to be in hero form during the villain phase, because when he engages minions, he gets to draw cards. But Thor is someone who really doesn't get that much to do in alter ego form. So he's one where we can basically just stay in hero form all the time, and we don't really make back our one resource difference when we go to alter ego form, unless we've been throwing the hammer around and we use the alter ego action to draw our hammer back. So putting Thor just in useful. I mean, sometimes we're going to want to recover, right? So it's nice there. Next, we've got Black Widow. Black Widow is going to go in insanely good. Black Widow also makes a very good case for the best hero in the game with Ready for a Fight, because she really wants to be in hero form during the villain phase, because all of her preparations trigger during the villain phase. So she loses that element of control when she's in alter ego form during the villain phase. She also has tons of incredible reasons to be in alter ego form during her turn, such as drawing a card when you play a preparation, using the safe house, using Leo Fitz is a really strong card with her. So easy, top tier character here. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is in nothing special. No defense events, doesn't really need to be in hero form during the villain phase. Hulk, I put at useful. So Hulk's one I mentioned before, where he's just so weak at thwarting that he kind of just justifies Ready for a Fight just by changing that to an attack, because he's got tons of health. He can recover decently well, especially once the laboratory is in play. So not the craziest. He doesn't have defense events. He does have 3 defense, so sometimes you can play him in a defense role. So I throw Hulk into the useful tier. Hawkeye, nothing special, not a defender, no defense events. Spider-Woman, I also put in nothing special. Right, she actually can defend sometimes, but we basically only do that if we have played some aspect cards during the round, buffing up her defense. If we flip back down to alter ego form, then when we flip back to hero form, we're back to only 1 defense. So, and she's got no defense events, so nothing special there. Ant-Man, I've put in the useful tier. So this mostly has to do with Ant-Man's form flipping stuff. It accelerates his form flipping. Giant form in particular is a form we might definitely want to be in during our turn, but it's only got a 4-card hand size. So if we can go to alter ego form, get our alter ego form hand size, flip up to giant form, get the trigger that comes from flipping to that form, and then use our 3 defense or 3 attack. There's enough little bits there to put to make Ready for a Fight at least useful with Ant-Man. Wasp, on the other hand, is nothing special. She's the only 3 defense hero that I've put in nothing special, just because she's just a little bit low. I mean, she doesn't have an explicit reason to want to defend outside of having the 3 defense. Her alter ego stuff isn't crazy. She gets the reshuffle ability, but that's not like really positive, tangible value. So I think nothing special for Wasp. Quicksilver, I'll put in useful. So Quicksilver really really likes to defend, despite only the 1 defense stat, because he gets a free ready. So we buff his defense a few times. He can defend for a lot of people. He's one that has less reason to go to alter ego form. So only put him in useful. Scarlet Witch, nothing special for her. Groot's kind of an interesting one, and I was going back and forth on Groot a little bit. I'm going to put him in very strong. So this is something I'm interested to test out, but we can sort of use Ready for a Fight in a way that we're constantly flipping down to alter ego form. We get 2 growth counters from the alter ego ability, 1 growth counter and a card back from Fertile Ground, and then we can flip back to hero form right away. Groot is of course very good at the perfect defense archetype, because he can defend for 3 already and then prevent any additional damage with his growth counters. So if we are on this Ready for a Fight program, we can very often go to hero form with at least 3 growth counters, and that should enable that strategy pretty well. Now this pushes against what you might want to do with Groot, which is to really build up your growth counters and then use your events that do 1 damage for each growth counter you have, or 1 threat from a scheme for each growth counter you have. So it kind of goes against that strategy, where you might want to flip down to alter ego, build up some growth counters, stay in alter ego, next turn you build up growth counters again, and now you're flipping to hero form with like 6 or more growth counters. So depends on which way you kind of want to play Groot, but I think there's a deck here where we use Ready for a Fight a lot that could be pretty strong. So very strong is where I put Groot. Rocket, bad defender, no defenses, nothing special. Same for Star-Lord, not really a defender. Gamora, where did I put Gamora? I put Gamora in very strong. So Gamora, sort of like what I said about Miss Marvel, but a little bit stronger even. Gamora has a really strong defense event cross counter, which also does 1 damage to an enemy and removes 1 threat from a scheme. So she can trigger both of her hero form abilities, which are once per phase, not just once per round. So that's an incredibly powerful card for her to be able to use. Typically not considered a defender outside of that. She's only got 2 defense. But, you know, besides cross counter, if we're playing other cards that might do damage or remove threat during the villain phase, then we'd want to be in hero form to take advantage of her value there. Then we've got Drax. Drax is in nothing special. Drax might be the literal worst hero in the game for Ready for a Fight, because once he's in hero form, he really, really wants to stay in hero form, because once he flips down, he loses those vengeance counters. So maybe still 1 copy, just because, you know, maybe you just have to go down and recover at some point, and this does let you get back to hero form faster, so that you can start building up those counters 1 turn earlier rather than you know, waiting to flip back the next turn. But really, I don't think this is something we want to plan around doing with Drax. Venom, I put in the very strong tier. So Venom has a hero ability which lets him take a damage to generate a wild resource, and this is a once per phase. So if we've got some way to use that during the villain phase, then that's pretty good value. We also have the card Grasping Tendrils, which stops a villain activation and stuns the villain, which is very, very strong. So this is one where we kind of might want to just save Ready for a Fight for when we have that to use, or for when we have something we can use that resource to play from hand. But I think this makes it very strong for Venom. One thing I haven't really said yet, which I guess I should acknowledge, is the requirement on Ready for a Fight is a physical resource. I'm not really factoring that into a lot of these rankings, but there's some cases where it's easier for other heroes to pay for it than others. So like Black Widow can pay for it with the card that makes a wild resource for a preparation. Oh, I didn't even mention that with Black Widow. Yeah, it's a preparation for Black Widow, so it's just insane. Captain America similarly has the serum, which makes physical resources, and then Venom's resource ability could make the physical as well. So I'm not really factoring that in, but that's something to kind of keep in mind as we talk about these. Adam Warlock I've put in useful. So Adam Warlock, not really a defender, but once Adam Warlock has the Soul World online, he heals very easily. So I think there might be something here where, you know, we just want to change that scheme to an attack because we want to sustain damage so that we can just get even more value out of Soul World. It's kind of like a free activation. It's like almost like neutralizing that activation in a way. So I think it can be a bit useful for Adam Warlock. Spectrum, I'm going to put in nothing special. This also might surprise you a bit. So Spectrum can get to 3 defense, but she can also get to 3 thwart or 3 attack, both of which seem way more powerful to me. She does get some form flipping value, so there's a little bit there, but I don't think it really makes up for the cost just to play Ready for a Fight. Maybe you get some more selectivity over what form you can be in just because you're flipping more often. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this one is pushing the edge. Maybe it's okay. I don't know. We're gonna call an audible to useful here. Plus my nothing special is a little bit bigger than my useful tier is. All right, Nebula is going to go in nothing special, not a defender, no defense events. Same for War Machine, no defense events. Valkyrie, we got a little pattern going here, not a defender at all. Defense events, that's not particularly strong. Vision, we're going to go in, where did I put Vision? Here we go, in the useful tier. So there's kind of a cute play pattern you can do with Vision. So you want to typically go to intangible form when you flip to alter ego because you get the extra hand size, but then you're not necessarily making use of the damage reduction you get from alter ego. So Ready for a Fight can let you get your alter ego hand size with intangible, then you flip to hero form, and now the attack deals you 2 less damage because you're still in intangible form. and then you can just wait to flip to dense form on your turn. So you get a little bit of extra value from that, which is kind of neat, and plus any subsequent attacks that come in. So I think that's a neat use case for vision there. And now we're moving on. Oh, I missed a couple wave markers. I was just in the roll there. But we had the Guardians wave there. We had the Mad Titans wave there. But now we're moving into the Web Warriors. So that brings us to Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider is going to go in the very strong tier. Ghost Spider is a hero who absolutely wants to be in hero form every single villain phase so that she can defend, trigger her responsibility on her identity card that readies her, and trigger all sorts of hero interrupts and hero responses that that Ghost Spider wants to play, triggering her web bracelets and of course her hero ability, which I mentioned. She is lacking a bit. The reason I don't put her in insanely good, she actually doesn't have that much alter ego stuff to do, but she'll have to recover once in a while. There's if she gets her obligation, she might want to get back George Stacy. But she just, almost more than anyone, just really, really wants to be in hero form during the villain phase. So I've put her in the second tier here. Miles, this does nothing special for Miles. Obviously very strong character, but just defending isn't really part of his game at all. Nova, I've put at useful. So Nova just has a pretty strong defense event, the force field projection. So kind of thing I might just play 1, maybe 2 ready for a fight, just to be ready to flip if I draw that in hand, just because it's a pretty powerful card to be able to spend during the villain phase. Ironheart, I have put at useful. So again, she's got 3 defense, and in the early stage, she only has a 4-card hand size in hero form. And then she's got strong alter ego actions to use as well, getting power counters using Tony Stark's AI. So by the time you're at stage 2, I mean, the benefit isn't as great because now she does get a 5-card hand size in hero form, but I think it's just useful enough. Spider-Ham, I'm going to throw up in the insanely good tier. So Spider-Ham, kind of like Spider-Man, has this ability where every time he takes damage, he has this ability that really incentivizes him to be in hero form during the villain phase. Every time he takes damage, he gets a tune counter, which later becomes a resource. So there's a lot more ways to take damage when you're in hero form during the villain phase than when you're in alter ego form, and obviously just that ability is off while you're in alter ego form. So he's very happy to be in hero form during the villain phase. Very, very strong alter ego actions as well. The recover for him is very strong, and he's got the Daily Beagle. Then we've got SPDR. Nothing special for SPDR. Not really a defender. No defense events. Colossus. Colossus is going to be another top tier hero. I've said this too much now. Possibly also one of the best heroes in the game for ready for a fight. We've got the 2-card difference in hand size between hero form and alter ego form, so kind of pays for itself there already. You can really tell Colossus is a hero that wants this effect because he actually comes with a pretty similar card in his identity specific set with the armor up card that lets him flip to hero form when the villain would scheme. He gets a tough status whenever he flips, so ready for a fight is accelerating the frequency with which he gets tough statuses. He's really bad at thwarting, but really good at blocking attacks. So we love to change that scheme into an attack for Colossus. And so multiple sources of value there for ready for a fight. Cyclops, nothing special. No, not really a defending character. Phoenix, I have put Phoenix in, why can't I find Phoenix on my thing? Phoenix, nothing special. Yeah, there's a little bit of, she's got the hero resource ability that's once per phase, but those are like finite resources for her, so she'll just run out of those faster. It's not like Venom where she's actively getting more value by being able to spend a resource during the villain phase. So not a defender, so Phoenix is nothing special. Let's see, Wolverine I've got in the useful. So Wolverine is not so much of a defender, but he's someone who can really take a lot of hits. He loves to start. We haven't talked about this too much, but this is maybe our first ability where we really want to start the player phase in hero form, which is kind of equivalent to saying we want to be in hero form during the villain phase, because then we'll end up starting the player phase in hero form. So he gets the heal for 2, essentially, but also he's got a recover of 6. So really just taking damage is something that Wolverine doesn't mind doing. So just barely in the useful tier. Again, not really a defender, but perhaps useful just for that, for that reason. Storm is nothing special. She does have flash freeze, but this is kind of lower on the scale compared to some of these defense events we've talked about. Really only great if you're also neutralizing like maybe a thunderbolt attack, or if you know for some reason that the villain is going to attack twice. But in general, not much of a defender for Storm. Gambit, I'm going to put in useful, so he's a 3 defense character. He's got, if you're playing some kind of attack, or there's a couple of protection attacks that you can play during the villain phase that he might be able to buff. There's the armor, which lets him defend and then ready again. So kind of just here because he's a good defender. He's got some decent reasons to be an alter ego form. I sort of missed my transition into the mutant wave here, but a lot of the mutant characters actually have more powerful alter ego actions than other traits do. We have Cerebro, which is an alter ego action, X-Mansion, which is an alter ego action. Moira incentivizes us flipping back and forth more often. So a lot of mutants, their baseline is a little bit higher. So Gambit being a mutant, having a 3 defense, I'll put ready for a fight as useful for him. Rogue is nothing special. So Rogue actually has one of the best defense events in the game, but it doesn't really work with ready for a fight because if we flip down to alter ego form, we lose our touched attachment on the villain. And then Bulletproof Bell is this defense event where if the villain has touched, we prevent all damage from the attack and get a tough status. Crazy powerful, but the play pattern just doesn't work with ready for a fight. So it's nothing special for Rogue. Nothing special for Cable. Obviously a crazy strong hero, right? This is not to say that Cable is nothing special. It's just can't really use ready for a fight to any great advantage. Domino, I've got in the useful tier. Again, 3 defense, mutant, already kind of reason enough. She's maybe on the lower end of this. I don't know if she's really played as a defender that much, but she's got a hero interrupt where you can sort of draw a new boost card, and then does draw a new encounter card, or maybe cancel an encounter card. So you'll want to be in hero form occasionally to trigger those things. Then we've got Psylocke. I've got Psylocke in, if I can find it, the useful tier. So Psylocke is another character with a 2-card hand size between hero form and alter ego form. She can pay for it with the physical resources on her katana. And she has some really strong, or she has a really strong hero interrupt that can cancel an encounter card. So that's the kind of thing we might want to flip for. But honestly, just, for the hand size is reason enough. So we might also have like Psychic Misdirection. This is a cool psionic protection card that Psylocke can play. It's a hero interrupt we might want to be in hero form for during the villain phase. So I think it's useful for her. Angel, I'm also going to put as useful. So using this to flip to Archangel is kind of interesting because Archangel just has 3 defense overall. The timing works out so that we don't have to suffer Archangel's acceleration icon because that happens during step 1 of the villain phase. The flip is presumably during step 2. So it's maybe not like a ton of raw value, but it gives us a bit more of an excuse to get to Archangel form during our turn, because Archangel has a very powerful ability when we play an aerial event, which is usually going to happen during our turn, not during the villain phase, but that kind of lets us start the turn in Archangel and then get to either Angel or back to Warren for a safer, villain phase, start of the villain phase without the acceleration icon. So some of the form manipulation stuff there I like for Angel, maybe not with too many copies, but at least a little bit. X-23 I've put to useful. Similar to Wolverine, she just takes damage almost like nobody else. She defends basically for free, because if she defends for 2 and takes 1 or 2 damage, she'll ready, and then she's got 6 recover and pain tolerance, so just tons and tons of healing. So I like her in the useful tier. Deadpool is always a weird one for me to evaluate. I'm actually going to put him at nothing special. This is maybe me thinking too hard about it and applying a different standard to Deadpool than I have for some other heroes, but part of you might think he heals incredibly. So that's maybe I'm not being consistent here with saying how Wolverine and X-23 can just heal so easily that it's good for him, but I feel like the way you want to play Deadpool is you really want to use those hit points to go towards your maximum effort and whatever I forget which one is which. The damage and thwart events where you take damage and then you do that much damage or that much threat removal. Like it seems like to me like you want to start your turn in alter ego form, get up to full health, and then go to hero form in order to spend your health in the various ways. So yeah, I could definitely be wrong on Deadpool, but I think it almost kind of anti-synergizes with him a bit. So let me know if you've had experience with Deadpool though, because I'd be curious to see if there's something there that I'm missing. Bishop is another entry into the insanely good tier, right? Bishop draws cards, draws resources when he gets hit with an attack. So we really want to be in hero form for that. When he flips to alter ego, he gets a crazy ability to bounce back a temporal card, which can often be a double resource. So lots of value on the flip, lots of value from getting back to hero form for the villain phase. So Bishop, just one of the best heroes to use ready for a fight. Magic is, I'm going to put in the very strong tier. So Magic has an ability that really wants her to be in hero form during the villain phase. She can play cards off the top of the deck for a discount of 1. And the play pattern here is actually really nice because when she flips to hero form, she can put a spell from her discard back on top of the deck. So we can pick Magic Barrier, or is it Magic Shield? I think Magic Barrier to put on top of the deck, and then we know that's going to be there to get value from that hero ability. So that makes up the resource difference. There's a little bit of awkwardness with she's a mystic character, so she can play Sorcerer Supreme. So the hand size maybe isn't such a big deal, but I think it's a pretty appealing play pattern. We're not necessarily always going to have Sorcerer Supreme out, so I'm going to put her at very strong. Iceman is going to be nothing special. He kind of defends for 3 because he puts the Frostbite on a character, which reduces their attack by 1, and then he defends for 2. So maybe there's a little bit of that, but I generally like attacking as his basic activation because then we can stick Frostbite somewhere and then use it for additional effects, like that buffs the attack event. We might be doing the aggression, upgrade on enemies archetype where we want to do that. So maybe not the craziest to bump up its here because of the effectively 3 defense, but I'm going to put him at nothing special. Same for Jubilee. Jubilee is not a defender at all, no defense events. Nightcrawler, I'm going to put in very strong. So Nightcrawler, very, very strong defender, of course, with the 3 defense, with the Bamfs, with the Cutlasses. So he's all about defending. If anything, maybe similar to Ghost Spider, he doesn't actually have too many reasons to want to go to alter ego form. He can draw a Bamf from the deck in alter ego form, but those are finite, so we will run out of those at some point. But Nightcrawler needs to recover once in a while, so the fact that he just really wants to be in hero form during the villain phase, I'll put him in the very strong tier for ready for a fight. Magneto's going to be nothing special, no defense events. Marie, I hope I've been saying no defense events a lot. I hope I haven't just completely forgotten about any. Maria Hill, nothing special, right? Not a defender. I'm very sure she doesn't have defense events because she doesn't even have attack or thwart events. Nick Fury, I'm going to put in useful. So, basically this ready for a fight, more so for the form flipping here, because we can go to alter ego form, get back to stealth form, flip back to hero form. So it's kind of a little bit awkward. Ready for a fight changes the scheme to an attack. The stealth suit, assuming the timing works like this, changes the attack back to a scheme, but we do get the value from reducing that scheme by 1 and putting a 1 threat on our suit, which we can use for a bunch of stuff. Nick Fury also gets a tick up for moderate preparation synergy. He's got the secret agent card where we move a threat every time we trigger a preparation. Actually, shoot, now that I think about that, does that actually work with the time? Is it, because that might have to be a hero response. I don't know. I'll probably look up if that actually works or not, but I'm assuming it does, because if it's a response, I don't know if it's a response or an interrupt. If it's a response, then it works because we flip and then we move the thing after we've triggered the preparation. So yeah, well, if it works, then right, all the more reason to possibly use ready for a fight with Nick. Shuri, where do we have Shuri? I put Shuri in useful. So why did I do this? Shuri is not really a defender, actually. I might have just done this because she takes damage pretty well. She's got Queen Ramonda, in alter ego form, I might be forgetting about something. I don't think it's actually that good for Shuri. I'm going to audible her back down to nothing special. She definitely really likes to go to alter ego form, but right, it's that bit about, I don't think defending is like her strongest activation. I mean, thwarting is generally what we want to do with her. So yeah, I don't know if okay. Yeah, I'm just going to leave her in nothing special. We're in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wave, by the way. I've just completely trying to steamroll here. I've completely missed my transitions. But then we've got Silk. So Silk is going to go in insanely good. Silk is the pack that it came in, so you know that obviously makes a lot of sense. But Silk's got the 3 defense, hero ability that really wants us to like see treacheries going to the encounter discard pile while we're in hero form. And then really, really powerful alter ego ability to draw 2 cards when we discard a card that's been tucked under her. So no brainer for Silk, really, really powerful. I messed up my order here somehow because now I've got Shadowcat. So, okay, some kind of crazy. She should have been a long time ago. But, okay, so Shadowcat we'll put in very strong. Put her in the order where she should have been. But Shadowcat, really one of the best defense events in the game of quick shift, which, you know, I don't know if that's necessarily a very strong defense event or just her hero ability is very strong. That says when she defends, she takes no damage. So whenever we draw a quick shift in our hand, like it feels really bad when we're in alter ego form during that villain phase. So use Ready for a Fight to flip to hero form, play quick shift, get our kind of free 2 cards. Don't take any damage from that attack. So Shadowcat, just really strong card there. Just wants to be in hero form generally. I mean, when she defends, many opportunities to defend and take no damage or spend a resource on a defense card. And then, you know, enough alter ego stuff to make it worth it. Her room lets her draw a card. Some of the mutant stuff I've mentioned already. So we've got very strong for Shadowcat. Falcon, nothing special. I was looking at this because there is a very interesting and fun defense build for Falcon, but this is where you use Draw Their Fire to basically defend for everybody without exhausting. But I think I don't have it in front of me, but I think this has to be triggered at the start of the villain phase. So you have to be in hero form at the start of the villain phase, which you're not if you're planning to do the Ready for a Fight, like flip to alter ego, then Ready for a Fight to flip back to hero form. So it doesn't really actually like work there. So yeah, so I think it's actually just not really that good for Falcon. Winter Soldier, nothing special. He does have like the arm block, which you might want to play in hero form, but he's not really a defender outside of that. So I just don't think it's that special for Winter Soldier. Now we've got the last 2 heroes here. These are the upcoming heroes in Civil War. We'll start with Hulkling. I think Ready for a Fight is going to be useful with Hulkling. I'm really excited to play Hulkling. There's lots of different ways you can build him depending on which shapeshifter upgrade you want to build around. But one of them gives him 3 defense and retaliate 1. So that is automatically making him a very solid defender. He's also got this event that says like, when it's a defense and you deal damage to the attacking enemy equal to your defense, and then after the attack, get a tough card. So it's like 2 ER for a tough card, which is already okay, plus this huge shot of damage, which is kind of a nice defense event to be able to play once in a while. When a great alter ego ability, when he goes to alter ego, he can draw a double resource from his deck, basically, because all the shapeshifter upgrades have 2 resources on them. So I think that's just pretty neat. And then Tigra ended off with a bang here. Tigra is an easy character to put in the insanely good tier. So she, who was the other hero I mentioned like this? She kind of like Wolverine. She's got an ability that triggers at the start of the player phase if you are in hero form, where you draw cards equal to the number of minions engaged with you. So we want to trigger that as much as possible. So Ready for a Fight helps you to do that. She's got just 3 defense, so she's a pretty decent defender in general. But then she really wants to go to alter ego form sometimes in order to draw up a Hunted from her deck. Then we can play Hunted, and then Ready for a Fight gets us back to hero form, so we can draw off of that minion right away. So I think the play pattern just works really well with Tigra, multiple benefits there for Ready for a Fight. And she's got that amulet to potentially help pay for it as well with the physical resource. Okay, I'm looking at 36 minutes here, so I'm really happy with that. I was shooting for about a half hour, and we talked about 63 heroes, so that's like 35 seconds per hero or something like that. So there we go. Let me know what you think about this list. Would you move anyone up or down? Who are the heroes you've been having the most success with Ready for a Fight? If you want to see me use Ready for a Fight, I think the best showcase is when I did Black Widow versus Crossbones. Really just every single turn, flipping down, getting ready for a fight back to hand with the safe house, flipping up to hero form, and being able to do all the hero form stuff that Black Widow likes to do. Where else did I use it? I should have prepared this before we started. I'm sure I've got it in another deck somewhere. And I definitely, as I've mapped out the remaining scenarios in my heroic challenge, definitely multiple places where I'm looking to use it. Spider-Man is a hero I haven't used yet, so I'm definitely hoping to do a Ready for a Fight deck with him. And with Tigra, my current plan with Tigra is to use a protection deck that'll have Ready for a Fight in it as well. So that's what we've got for this video. Hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into Ready for a Fight. Hope we got some tips to help you maybe win some more games with it or try it in some circumstances where you might not have considered it before. And that's all I got. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.